Hello, it's Fran Davidson from psychicandenergywork.com.au, and this is part 3 of my monthly observations for August 2025. If you go through to the website psychicandenergywork.com.au to my monthly observations page, you will find a bit of text there, a few observations there about this month's MOs. So in numerology, there are 3 main numbers: the birth number, the MO, and the reality number. The birth number flags what we're likely to bump into, what is going to help us learn and grow, develop, channel better over the period in question. And they can be events, they can be people, they can just be dynamics, which of course everything is in the end of the day. The MO is how we're likely to do that. So this video is looking at the hows for this month. On the website, you will see how August carries a 17-8 MO every year. And in 2025, we see 120, which reduces to 3, also popping up specifically. So why do these things matter? If we look at the overall chart for this August 2025, we see 5 3s appearing, we see 4 zeros, we see 3 5s, and we see 4 8s. So 3, 5, and 8 are all active numbers. So they can make life busy in a really good way, really like, I'm moving forward, I'm achieving things, I'm kicking goals, everything's falling into place, as well as on a spiritual level by way of helping us realize, fine-tune, get the hang of all the things that really are essential in manifesting well. Often self-focus can be on the very obvious, on the larger details, if that's the way to say it. So, for example, to cook a nice meal, I might need those sorts of veggies and those sorts of other ingredients and a pot and an oven. But have I actually looked at also the disposition that I'm cooking with, the thoughts, the feelings, the mood? Yeah, because of course that's going to influence the meal and the cooking experience itself. So numbers always talk about the energetic states, and within that, therefore, the processing that life might ask self to do in the period in question. If you look at the MO section and even the birth number section for this month on the monthly observations page, I talk a fair amount about the fact that, this month could really help people crystallize, come to greater level of clarity, make the adjustments they need to make, even sense the need for adjustments, as in what needs to shift. Now, it is also slightly master number heavy. Yeah, and what I mean by that is that we've got, in the specific part of the chart, we have a birth number 2033, and that 33 is a double 3, so potentially master number qualities there. 120 is the specific MO for this August, because of the 0 that's in 120. And then we've got the specific reality of 2153, which passes through 11 on its way to 2. So I've already covered those things off on what could be called a more surface level or a more sort of logic level on the website. However, what I want to point to is the fact that when you put master numbers into a zone together with 5 3s, so that's a lot of realizing, it's a lot of learning how to go with the flow, how to allow flow, what's involved in flow. Together with 3 5s, which is about stretch humans, tap into your potential, even sense what your potential might involve. And therefore it's lessons in, I don't think I can, I don't think it's possible, I don't think that's going to happen for me this life. So 5 is the move from I can't or life won't, it's not possible, into possibility through learning the negative or through the negative first. 8s are very much moments that can manifest initially as I'm not happy in my job, I'm not satisfied, that niggling that we're not quite sure of where it's coming from, but we're aware that it just keeps niggling, life's not everything it wants to be. So all of those dynamics, and you could say all numbers, encourage human beings to process, to process what they're fearing, what they're thinking, what they're picking up on, not necessarily because it's bad or wrong, but just because at the end of the day, energetically, spiritually, any sense of limit, any sense of blockage, any sense of fear or negative is already an intuitive sign that we are overly caught up in the mental realm. Not because that's a bad place overall, but of course, every so often we can dive a bit too deep there. So, master numbers and 3, 5s and 8s this month might force you to process. And what I mean by that is even if you love processing life, you love clearing and release work and energy work and, reconnecting to spiritual energy, and a zone like this can force people into that part of themselves that is still harbouring a narrative that is limiting, pessimistic, fearful, or just negative in another way. Implicit in that sort of experience, because we've got those 3 sort of master numbers happening this month, it is possible that in processing you might, shall we say, be nudged more into the tears than not. That's not me saying that everybody's going to experience that, but the reason for this video is because I want to acknowledge that sometimes the model that we embrace suggests that tears are a bad thing. It's wrong to feel negative. It's wrong to think negatively. Even, if I'm a spiritual being, I'm not allowed to be cross with the universe, or I'm not allowed to be angry. Yeah? The trouble with that is that those models deny the validity of the emotional realm as an informing, shall we say, zone, as an informing state. Negative only exists because it is still seeking balance. It is still seeking resolution. And we're not going to attain that by holding it down, ignoring it, keeping it in, or even changing the words that are coming out into something else that's got roses and sunshine all around it, when actually, that's not what we're thinking and feeling at all, or even experiencing. So it's really important when you process, especially when you are dealing with moments that are challenging or hot pokering you to tears, to anger, to resentment, to loss of hope, feel it. Obviously, choose a zone, choose a time when you can do this first by yourself, privately, whether that's because somebody else is sitting with you, helping you, or just supporting you, or whether it's because it's just you, or even it's you and your guidance, Process it, Tears are a sign on the energetic level that you are going the right way to your healing, to your breakthrough, to your greater sense of what's been going on, why it's been going on, and what you need or can do with that as an individual, for you, by you, this life. So in a sense, again, this video is trying to flag the fact that sometimes our models suggest that if we go to tears, if we even start to feel a tear, we need to stop. Of course, tears, when we're processing, often arise because of big wounds, big fears, big, forecasts, assumptions, narratives. And yes, indeed, that's always the case. But you see, negativity on one level, if we're talking energy work, if we're talking spiritual development, if we're talking about intuitive and therefore real-world breakthroughs, negativity only comes because it is just egoic self hogging the microphone more than it should. And the minute we realise that another part of us is the divine self, just excuse my friend in the background, the minute we realise that the negativity is only a part of us, there is another part of us that can mentor that child, that fearful, that angry, or whatever, that hurt person. It can mentor it through by listening to it, letting it speak, not necessarily because it's right. Usually when we're processing, we can be uttering all sorts of stuff that really we know isn't like the be-all. We know it isn't the big picture, and yet we feel it and think it and have lived it just the same. Express it, because it's only when you express it fully to yourself, to the universe, whether that is vocally out loud, whether that is silently in your mind, whether that's even writing, even for some people it might be drawing, exercise. All of those sorts of pastimes help us. They give us a channel to let the negative go, not because we're throwing it in a bin, not because we're devaluing its importance or its origins, its validity, nor, therefore, are we ignoring the fact that it is there to inform. It's there for a reason, but that reason lies underneath the surface statements that are presenting, or thoughts. So what I'm getting at is this August, to the degree that you feel cornered to do these things, to the degree that, you know what, I just know it's time to let go of that stuff and I'm just not quite sure whether it's okay to do that, do it. Yeah, if you need a hand, you're all right, call people like me. But if you need a hand, also seek help from other areas, counsellors, psychotherapy, friends, yeah, whomever. Yeah, don't be afraid to express, because it's when we express, and remember we have 5 3s this month, expression is important. Daring to feel it, daring to say it. Yeah, because it's only when we truly express what's in ourselves as it is, not because we're necessarily right and not because it's the whole picture, but it's only at that moment that we make the space for the universe to drop in, for the future to actually walk through the door or call the phone or present however, energetically or physically, yeah, in all the ways we know it can, to help us then get on with life and manifest as beautifully as we're here to. All the very best to you. Thank you for tuning in. Please feel free to go through to video number 4. And again, psychicandenergywork.com.au to read those observations that I've typed out on the monthly observations page for you this month. Travel well, take good care, holler if ever you need.